Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another live stream. Hope you guys are ready to rock and roll and have some fun talking about, well, a not so fun subject. I guess just depends on who is asking out there. But anyways, guys, my apologies for being extra late today, or a little later today than usual. It's just, man, I woke up this morning under the weather. Oof, and it's been a rough day. I mean, I've been able to get a lot done, but still, it's been, how they say dragging, arse, all day. So it's been one of those days. And like, why am I a little under the weather? Well, first of all, I don't know. It was just some random thing, this morning, as sometimes it usually is. But the weather, the weather has been changing very recently. In fact, hopefully you guys can hear me out there. Hopefully everything's coming in loud and clear, but anywho's, this morning was a bit rough simply because the weather was changing last night. Yeah, it was starting to warm up again yesterday, and then before we knew it, in the afternoon, it started to cool down. And when we woke up this morning, it had rained overnight and it was freezing this morning. By the way, what is freezing? Well, for us, freezing is, what was it, 59 degrees, 60 degrees, all right? It's probably like a brisk 77 or 80 degrees out right now. But, anywho's. So you know how sometimes like that kind of, that quick change in weather can sometimes catch you off guard. And so, anyway, so, my apologies, for not only being a little late, but just the fact that, I might not be at 100% today, but either way, it's all good. You guys know how we do here. A lot of times, I'm just going off, on tangents, talking about certain subjects. And this is one of those subjects that, I've talked about, many times. In fact, I've talked about very recently. I did a video. I uploaded a video recently, and talking about, whether or not this would be a possibility. But again, it was an upload. It's very different, those videos, as opposed to doing a live stream where, we do a live stream, I can just go on and on and on. And, you guys as well can join in, ask me questions, follow-up questions, what have you, as we continue, or as we go on talking about this subject out there. So anyways, I want to give a quick shout out to everyone out there in the chat. Shout out to Tupelo, Honey. December and January are my favorite times of year in Merida. Oh yeah, no, it's awesome. It's especially during December. It's amazing. I love it. But and again, usually the cold weather is nice. It's a nice change of pace, compared to the constant heat out here. But yeah, to me, how it doesn't matter whether it's hot or cold. If you're not feeling well, you're not feeling well. But yeah, it's a great year. I know that wasn't your. Anyway, shout out to you, Honey. Morelia, shout out to you. Thank you for the kind words. We got Terry Wright, shout out to you. It's balmy and 15 degrees in Ohio. Oh God, no way. See, it's 15. It might be 15 centigrade here, not Fahrenheit. Wow. So shout out to you, Terry Wright. Yeah, at least the sun is out. Yeah, the sun just came out as well. Thank God for that. The sun is always helpful. That's the thing. I was always, I try to explain to Christian what it's like in, in cold weather climates, because even though the sun might be out, it's not like you really feel the sun. See, out here, it's cold until the sun comes out. Once the sun comes out, it just feels so good. So, in fact, that's how I knew it was weather related, because when the sun finally did come out, after I walked Gizmo and all that stuff, I was just hanging. I saw the sun came out, and I was just standing outside in the sun, soaking up the rays, and immediately I was feeling so much better. So whatever, it's probably cold related, weather related. You know how it is. We getting old out here. So D-Mao says, I love the walks in the background. Where is this one? Oh, this is, thank you. Great question, D-Mao. Shout out to you. I should give you production credit. Anyways, no, but yeah, what was I? So this is in Guadalajara. And this is filmed in, hold on a second. Oh yeah. Okay, so actually, funny enough. Okay, so this was filmed in Zapopan, in Guadalajara, and this is the neighborhood. Well, the video started off in the neighborhood called Seattle, funny enough. And we're making our way, as we're walking here, making our way towards Plaza Patria, which you're going to see at some point. And, you know, I won't spoil it for you. And there's like a park there or something like that. You'll see. So that's where we're at. We're just walking. This is just a typical neighborhood in Guadalajara. You know, that's it. You know, just you know, it's a nice neighborhood in Guadalajara, but a typical neighborhood. Honey, thank you for the kind words. Says you moved to Mexico to escape that person that should not be mentioned, and moved back to vote in November to take care of my first nieta, which is your first granddaughter. Worst mistake of my life. God, I miss Mexico. Oh wow, so you're stuck in the USA. Yeah, see, look, that's the thing too, man. You know, like I fear that as well. You know, if I ever have to go back for whatever reason, not being able to leave. So in my mind, I'm in Mexico, and that's it. And so, look, you know, right now it's funny that let's just talk about the subject already. You know, at hand. You know, let's talk about the topic now that we've said our pleasantries and all that good stuff. Shout out to everyone out there. By the way, I think I got the horse flu. You know, this guy was out there hanging out with some mains. And, you know, I think he brought some, what are you talking about? It wasn't me at all. So I think this guy brought something back to the house, got us sick or whatever. So, you know, this guy, freaking Lambo, you know, always blaming him. But yeah, so, in fact, okay, so talking about, okay, you know, will Trump ever, like, invade Mexico? So, you know, as I was saying earlier, I did a video literally talking about this topic not that long ago, that I uploaded to the channel. In fact, like a couple weeks ago. Yeah, you know, like at the end of the day, we're going to go through all the reasons and then some, you know, as to why, you know, it's most, you know, it's like, you know, Trump invading Mexico would be like him invading another state in a sense, you know what I mean? Because it's Mexico, I mean, the U.S. relies on Mexico so much for so many things that, I mean, it's kind of crazy, you know what I mean? Like that would be worse. It's worse than shooting themselves in the foot. So, you know, we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, at the end of the day, you know, the real reality of things, the real super duper reality of things is that what I think is that a lot of this stuff that's in the media, you know, with the fear of what Mexico is, you know, what you know, what's going on, you know, what they're trying to do with an invasion or whatever, all that fear mongering propaganda, like the usual. The same old, you know, right? But anyways, all that is fear, you know, to keep you there, to keep you in the USA, to keep you from leaving, to keep you from going to Mexico, to keep you from going to another country, but specifically Mexico, you know, to keep you, you know, from realizing, you know, what the reality is. You know, this is why, you know, even when I'm doing my live streams, I sit here and I put myself in a little corner here and I talk and I show videos of what it really is like out here, what it looks like out here. All right, so that way there's no misconceptions. All right, now again, you know, Mexico's a huge country. Obviously, you know, there are better places than others, you know, some that are more violent than others, so on and so forth. But for the most part, come on, you know, you already know you're going to be living in a normal neighborhood like this, or the ones that I show in all my other videos and stuff like that. But you know, with all that said, I think it's a lot of you know, fear mongering, you know, to start off with. Now, as you know, Honey, was it Honey? Yeah, as Honey was just saying, and a lot of you guys, you know, can say that you go back to the USA and you don't know if you're coming back or not. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I totally understand that, you know, and for a lot of you guys, it's a big concern. It's a big, you know, fear that a lot of you guys have, me included. So, you know, at least in my mind, you know, the way I look at things is that I live here. This is my country. That's it. I have no reason to ever go to the USA or go back to the USA. This is where I live. This is where my home is, and where my roots are now. And again, my own family back in the USA and friends come visit me here. And if they don't, they don't, you know, but it is what it is. And at least I have a different view of things. Because again, my parents left communist Cuba, and they were in a similar predicament. You know, through the years, some family members wanted to visit Cuba, others were scared of ever going back to Cuba for obvious reasons. You know, getting arrested and thrown in prison or worse. So, that's the thing, you know what I mean? Like, to me, that's the way I'm looking at things, you know, why I don't ever want to go back. Now, I have no, you know, reason to fear in the sense of going to prison or going to jail or anything like that. But it's just, as again, you know, same as Honey and other people in the audience and a lot of you guys out there, it's not that at all. There's so many other reasons that keep you in the USA. And, you know, to me, that's really that's really the situation more than anything else. The situation is, you know, as things get worse, you know, in the world, as, you know, the US keeps doing what they're doing. Again, whether you agree with it or not, okay, I think most people that agree, you know, with everything that Trump is doing and the US is doing, they're probably not looking into moving to Mexico. All right. So, you know, I'm pretty sure there. Okay. Now, again, as you guys know, I'm apolitical, meaning I have no political affiliation. You know, I'm politically homeless, as they like to say. So it's neither here nor there. You know, I've been talking about everything I'm talking about here for years. In fact, the only thing that's changed over the years with my conversations is that I have now tons of proof, you know, years and years of proof, you know, to a lot of the things that I was saying and a lot of the things that I was telling you guys about and warning you guys about or whatever, you know. At the end of the day, you know, the reality is that what I think is that they're going to be using a lot of this stuff as an excuse, you know, hey, we're going to invade Mexico, or we're going to fight the cartels, or we're going to do all these horrible things, whatever, you know, they're going to do that. They're using that as an excuse, you know, basically to keep you guys from, you know, moving out here, you know, as a reason, as fear mongering, as, you know, propaganda, as they like to say, or whatever, in order to really keep you guys put. I mean, again, there's a lot more to this. But again, we've talked about this on the channel many times, you know, where the reality is that they don't want you to leave. They want you to stay there, you know, for many reasons. And, you know, even though if you do leave, it's totally fine by them, the reality is that they would rather have you stay behind, all right? Have you stay in the USA. And so, you know, that's the thing. And so I think that's a lot of it. I think really what's going on in that sense, you know, with, you know, the whole fear mongering of, hey, we're going to go after the cartels, we're going to invade Mexico, we're going to do all these things, is to keep, you know, people, again, in fear, to keep you locked down. Because remember, for a lot of people out there, that, you know, some people out there have resources, you know, meaning you might have a passport, you might have a few bucks, you might have a job, you know, whatever, you might have income, you know, all these things, you know, you might be well off in that sense, not rich, but just okay. And you know, you don't have to move to Mexico. You can move to many other countries. There are many countries out there, but for a lot of people that are in desperate situations, you know, not good situations, you know, Mexico's right across the border. And so, you know, they know that when things get really bad, that obviously, you know, there's going to be more and more people just crossing the border. Again, the tables are turning, the tables are flipped. So I think that's all kind of part of the situation. They're gearing everyone up for something else. You know, obviously, I think most people are pretty aware of that. We don't know exactly what. But I think part of the plan is to obviously just keep you in the country, keep you, you know, again, you give more reasons, you know, as to not, you know, because again, if they just keep, you know, raising the terror alerts, keep raising the concerns with the cartels, keep whatever, well, what's going to come with that is that there really is, it's a platform for them to now start adding things like, hey, we're going to have travel restrictions, you know. That's it. We don't trust you Americans. You know, again, just like with everything else, we don't trust you to make your own decisions. And we're deeming the fact that, you know, we don't want you to go to Mexico or whatever, or leave the country, and period. Because look, the reality is that we talked about it many times. Again, I've done a video recently on the subject as to the relationship between the U.S. and Mexico. You know, the economic partnership that they have that is very strong. Look, don't get it twisted, guys. Even though the U.S., you know, kidnapped Maduro not that long ago, the U.S. was also doing business with Venezuela not that long ago. All right. So even though countries might not get along, doesn't mean that they don't do business together. So with all that said, at the end of the day, the business relationship, you know, the economic dependency on both countries is too big. All right. For them to just all of a sudden, you know, for one country or the other to like invade or something like that. It just would not make any kind of economic sense. Look, let's just put it straight up, okay? This is something a lot of people don't really think about. But look, let's just say for example, okay, in the USA right now, okay, in the USA, all over the USA, right, there are all kinds of, drug addicts on the streets, right? There are homeless people and drug addicts. Look, I know that a lot of homeless people are not drug addicts. I know that a lot of homeless people or people living out of their car or living on the street, they are not, mentally whatever, you know what I mean? A lot of normal people. Again, I was almost on the street. I've talked about it multiple times. That's why I do the content I do on this channel, and I talk about the things that I do because I get it. Trust me, I was there. Okay, so I understand not everybody is in a horrible situation or whatever, right? But we also know that there are tons of drug addicts on the streets, right? And we know that there's a big drug problem in the USA. So hypothetically, right, let's just say that the USA attacks Mexico, and all of a sudden the cartel, the Mexican army, everybody, the whole country is fighting a war with the USA. Now, do you think that there's going to be any kind of trade, going on, even black market trade? Do you think that the drugs are going to still keep flowing, to all of those people that need it? No, it's not. So that's going to cause a major problem right there. Again, we've talked about already how many cartel members, again, the U.S. president talks about it all the time, how many cartel members are in the USA. Right now, in the U.S., probably in your backyard, right there in Ohio, and Montana, and wherever, Wichita, Kansas, wherever, all right? They're everywhere, right? So what, you think they're just going to lay down and just say, oh, okay, you got me? Or you think they're just going to fly them to Mexico? No, things are going to happen. So I can go on and on, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be good for the USA immediately, all right? And so, Mexico is a country that's self-sustainable. Sure, they need the money from the trade and they need the partnership from everything that is, with the USA. But by all means, Mexico's not going to starve, if all of a sudden they don't have trade with the USA. Mexico has its own everything. All right. So, but can the USA say that? The USA, sure, they produce a lot, but they also produce a lot of corn and wheat and a lot of, stuff that's not really edible. All right. And there's a lot more control with all that stuff over there. So like I said, just think about it. So, even if something were to spark up, right, it would be just a super humongous reason to lock everybody in for real. All right. And not allow any kind of movement, period, in the story. So that's why I don't see any of that happening. In fact, I'm willing to bet, some friendly money. Maybe I can go on that poly market. Is that what it is? I gotta go check it out. You can make bets on hypothetical things. But honestly, in my honest opinion, I think that there's there's a greater chance of the USA going after Greenland and taking Greenland, literally taking Greenland, than going after Mexico. I think, if anything, that would be more, all the talk about Mexico is more of a distraction than anything else. Because again, look what, again, people, I don't want to get too detailed on this channel, but again, the whole Venezuela thing is not what we think it is. A lot of it is, again, as I mentioned in my other video, it's war against China and just securing resources for the USA. Same thing as, securing Greenland. Greenland would be the same exact thing, security and resources, all right? So with all that said, with the USA involved with those things and other things, again, basically they're more concerned with China than anything else. Why in the hell would they ever, all right, do anything to their next door neighbor, to their brother, to the country that they would rely on the most when the crap really hits the fan? And so again, this just does not make sense. No sense whatsoever, that the USA would ever, attack the cartel, invade the cartel and all that stuff. And again, things that, I'm going to talk about here, but you can Wikipedia this, all right? But a lot of the cartels, a lot of the drug trade, a lot of all that is run by the CIA, all right? By the US government, all right? You can Google this. Don't take my word for it. What the hell do I know? I'm just a guy with a fake plastic horse, okay? That, with a dumb YouTube channel. This is for entertainment purposes only, all right? But again, you can just Google it. You can just Wikipedia it yourself. You can read a book. It's all out there. It's pretty well documented by this point, I think. and especially with all the actions and everything going on, I think we can all pretty much rest assured that it's happening, it's real, it's all whatever. But anyways, look, long story short, there's a lot, more things going on out there at the moment that the U.S. is more worried about. All right, and at least from my estimation. So why, all of a sudden, go after Mexico or go after, again, a partner, because Mexico is a partner. They are a strategic, strong economic partner. A Mexico and the USA, again, it doesn't matter what you think or where your political alliances are or your opinion. Look, the reality of the situation, the USA and Mexico are, beyond partners. The partnership is so crazy strong, and the USA depends on Mexico so much. It's incredible, and that's the thing, you know what I mean. And so the reality is that it is, despite the bickering between the things, it was despite the bickering that you might hear is going on between both countries, the reality is anything but that. Again, recently, I think Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, was in the USA, and she was just hanging out with Trump. There's plenty of pictures, all right? They were hanging out, lovey-dovey. They were, all the memes, where they're like, man, I thought they didn't get along. It seems like they really get along, Anyways, and all that stuff. All right, so give me a break. The reality is that they super duper get along. All right. And, again, the only problem here, the only problem country would be Canada, if anything, between both countries, in the partnership. But look, long story short, the partnership between both countries is so integral. Again, it's not just, the agriculture that comes out of both countries, that both countries trade with each other. It's not just the manufacturing when it comes to things like automobiles, or building materials, or professional whatever. Again, the whole thing with Guadalajara. Look, this is where we are now in this video. We're walking around Guadalajara, and in this city, this city is the Silicon Valley of Mexico. So here is where they make robots, and they make computer chips, and they make all kinds of things for an affordable rate. And the partnership is great with the USA, the number one partner. I mean, the U.S. is building factories there and building, all kinds of infrastructure there. And again, the partnership, between both countries, and again, it's culturally, come on, not half the USA, but 35 million Mexicans live in the USA, and a lot of those Mexicans have been there for generations, probably longer than some of you guys. Give me a break. So, again, to me, I think it's just a lot of same old that you hear from Trump, where it's just a lot of talk, a lot of, bark and no bite. That's really the way I'm looking at it, because, the reality is that, look, what we're seeing is that, we are seeing him. We're seeing the administration, the people in power, the government, whatever, right? We're seeing them doing things that we haven't seen in a long time, or are pretty unprecedented. Again, the whole thing with what happened with Venezuela. Again, Hillary Clinton was the last person that did it with Libya, and before that it was Bush, right, with Saddam, and before that was, and I can go on and on, right? So it's that happens kind of periodically, right? The whole thing with Maduro and Venezuela, right? But if all of a sudden Trump buys or acquires Greenland, man, that's something that doesn't happen all the time. Again, and that would be a big game changer. So the reality is that, the U.S. right now is, look, they have a strategic partner all the way in the south with Argentina. Okay? They got a strategic partnership, all right, with, so many other countries in Latin America, whether it's by force or not, it doesn't matter. And the same thing with Mexico. These are all, right now, if you really do believe, whether you're MAGA or not, it doesn't matter. But if you really do believe the whole idea that America is trying to get everybody together and trying to just create this one America or whatever it is, well, listen, why the hell are they going to invade and take over Mexico and bombard them and do all the... Listen, no. Again, they work together. They work together. The bad guys, the good guys, they all work together. Are you kidding me? So... Don't you watch a movie? Not movies. I'm sorry, but don't you watch? No, but serious. And so that's kind of where it's at. And so, That's the way I look at it. Nothing really to worry about. Same as it ever was, with the propaganda as to, just fear mongering for, to keep people in fear. Again, it's all fear driven. It's not just to keep you out of Mexico or to keep you from leaving the country. It's not just that. A lot of it is also, the fact that, with that fear, they control you and they control your daily actions and all this other stuff. So, all right, let me read a few comments. So, look at that. We got Terry Wright buying Argentinian pesos. Anyways, no comment there. All right. Let me see. We got D Mouse says. Hold on. No, you know what? Let me scroll up and read a few comments. There, you guys. Sorry, I went off my rant there. But shout out to everyone out there. Happy New Year's to all you guys. Everyone out there. All right, Jonathan says, hi, Jose. If I'm a Mexican citizen and my daughter is an American citizen, can I have her move with me to Mexico? Yes, you can. So it's very simple. All right, that's super simple. Okay, so how she is going to get her Mexican citizenship is through family unification. The only thing is that she has to be under 18. So as long as she's under 18, then you're good to go. And so if she's under 18, all you got to do is just take her to immigration. First of all, she enters the country with an FMM tourist permit, okay? And then once she's in Mexico, all right, then you go on ahead to immigration and you start the process of getting her citizenship through family unification, okay? And that's it. It's fairly simple, super simple, all right? So, all right. Yeah, I see someone's entering your... Let me see. I don't know about the custody thing. I don't know about all that stuff. But long story short, I'm pretty sure it's just one parent is needed to get her residency. So let me see. I guess I don't know what you got. I don't know. Yeah, there's just a lot of comments there. We see. But yeah, you don't really need an immigration lawyer to take care of this. You can get it all taken care of easily, especially if you speak Spanish. Super easy to do. Because the thing is, it's like at the end. Well, anyways, all right. But that's it. That's a process. All right. Callaway says, you get water delivered to your door. It's not a problem. Many people have a whole house filtration system. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you can do that as well. But anyways, guys, I don't know. If you guys had anything to say about what I said, you can repeat the comment again, all right? Because I'm having trouble reading. I know you guys are all just chit-chatting there. But yeah, anyways, all right. Hopefully I should answer your question. But look, guys, look. Oh yeah, you know what? I know how to fill up some air real quick. So hey, guys, look, I really appreciate you watching the videos that I uploaded to my channels. Again, I got 2 channels, all right? Besides this one, all right? I have Cooking with Jose, Cooking con Jose. And I also got Jose Unleashed. You guys know this is where I've been publishing a lot. We were doing a lot of videos on this channel. But again, I'm uploading new videos to both channels. In fact, yesterday I uploaded videos to both channels. You guys received them very well. I'm glad you guys enjoyed them. And in fact, for Unleashed, I just literally finished recording a new episode. All right. And I'm going to be editing that and uploading that soon. I don't know when. There's no upload schedule for any one of these, all right? So I'm just, again, if you really want to help and support the show, go subscribe to those channels. And if you really want to see the content, hit the bell icon, all right? So you see right here where it says subscribed, just hit the bell icon. So it says all right? And that way you'll get all the notifications, right? So whenever I upload a video, you'll immediately get a notification on your phone. And then we got the cooking channel. Again, we're starting cooking again. We're starting all that. So again, the cooking channel is starting off a little slower, but Unleashed is starting off a little quicker because, this is more of like my daily life, my vlog, the behind the scenes and stuff like that. So again, I was filming right before I went live, so you get to see exactly why I was late. All right. So you get to watch that. All right. which I'm going to upload in a couple days. But regardless, if you go check out those channels, I really, really appreciate it. And again, if you want free information, all right, useful information on all kinds of things, on moving to Mexico, everything from jobs, all right, a whole list of jobs, to all kinds of other information. Look at that whole list of digital nomad jobs, all right. If you don't want to do a digital nomad job, that's fine. Moving to Mexico, general information, just see right there. Click on that. And right there, I got a video talking about how to find rentals, affordable rentals or just rentals. Also a video on how to find work. It doesn't have to be digital nomad. There's all kinds of jobs out there. So, and what else? 20 of the most asked questions and all kinds of other interesting stuff, all right? Even how to get your citizenship if you're Mexican or your parents are Mexican or whatever. So all kinds of cool stuff, residency options and all that stuff. So please check out the website. We'll greatly appreciate it. And check out the other 2 channels. Again, if you're interested in food and cooking, if you're interested in my life and my vlog, all the links are going to be down below. All the links are in the description of the video. They're everywhere. So, click accordingly. And all that good stuff. So I really appreciate you guys. A little shameless plug I wanted to share with you there. So let's get back to the park. So what was I saying? So yeah, guys, look, the way I'm really looking at it, no, there's no way in hell, there's no way in hell that the USA would ever invade Mexico or, again, go after the cartels, attack the cartel, invade in that sense. If they're going to go after the cartel, again, this is something that even Mexico would approve of, I guess, but, the reality is that, what they would do, again, if they really want to go after the cartel, if that's the problem that Trump and the administration is having, listen, there's tons of cartel in the U.S. You can go after all those cartels, go there first. That's what everybody would say, go there first, get rid of them first, all right? Don't just go to a sovereign country, to go after the enemy that's right behind you. So, again, that doesn't even make any sense. Think about it. Because in a weird way, they're in the USA already. Not in a weird way, in a real way, in a real 100% way, they're in the USA already. So again, if you're technically invading, land invasion, just crossing the border, invading that way, right? Attacking the cartel that way, you got cartel right behind you, coming at you from everywhere else in the USA. So, I don't know, man. Like I said, just the fact alone that there are so many people dependent on the drugs that are coming into the country from the cartel, whether it's the government itself that, again, makes money off of that, or the people on the street that need that, or the government that needs the people on the street, to remain calm. Zombie-like. Yeah, no, think about it. Again, if all that is cut off immediately, imagine every single drug addict in the USA going cold turkey at the same time. That's not going to end well. So that's the way I see it. If the U.S. really wants to go after all this stuff, go after the drug war that they started to begin with, yeah, just go ahead, start in your own backyard, as Humberto says, literally clean up your own mess. But, that's the thing, we're going to see how this all plays out. I really do not think, anything, insane like that would ever happen. Because again, even look at what happened with Venezuela. What did they do? What did they do in Venezuela? It's already pretty documented what they did. All they did is they went into Venezuela, all right, they bribed a bunch of people, to allow them to go inside, kidnap Maduro, that guy, and then leave. Bomb a few things, destroy a few things, and that's it. Did anything change? No. Is the same government in place? Yes. Do the people of Venezuela want to keep that government? Some, not everybody, just like, it's the same thing, I mentioned this before, everyone's like, oh, but there's so many Venezuelans that are happy. Yeah, there are, I agree, there's so many that are not happy as well. Just like Cuba, my parents are Cuban, trust me, if the USA were to do the same thing in Cuba, so many Cubans would be happy. So many Cubans. But also a lot of Cubans would not be happy, because the whole point for the whole revolution was, to not let the U.S. invade. So if the U.S. invades, well, then that means that all the 60, 70 years of suffering was for nothing. So, hey, like I said, you know what I mean? It is what it is. I'm not here agreeing with anything. I'm just saying it is what it is. And so, right now in Venezuela, nothing has changed. Really, I mean, honestly, as far as I know, nothing's really changed. Maybe there's a little bit more negotiation going on with the current president or what have you. But, I mean, the reality is that all it did is just destabilize it to the point where, it's, now bothering China. And maybe that was the plan all along. So, look, at the end of the day, again, even with that situation, nothing's happened. So, what could possibly happen? You know what I mean? Again, we already know this guy. A lot of the things that he's done is all talk, all right, and a lot of how do I say this? A lot of posterizing, not posterizing, but a lot of photo ops, that kind of things. A lot of optics, and it's like, hey, look at this, look how awesome, look at that. We're gonna, we're gonna kidnap this guy. We're gonna parade him around. We're gonna do all this stuff. But has anything really changed? No. So that kind of stuff. So that's the way I see it. And so it's the same thing. Right now there's a lot of rhetoric, a lot of barking, with Mexico and this and that. But very recently, like I said, you can look it up yourself. Very recently, Scheinbaum was visiting, all right, and they were getting along. And by the way, look, I forgot about this, but another thing is the FIFA World Cup. Again, I know in the USA, most people do not give a crap about the World Cup. Most people in the USA don't care about soccer, football, whatever, right? Hold on. Anyway, so my apologies, I had to cough. I know a lot of you guys out there don't care about soccer in the USA, but guess what? The rest of Latin America, they love soccer. Argentina loves soccer. Brazil loves soccer. It doesn't matter. They all love soccer. Well, most of them. And so the FIFA World Cup is this year, 2026. And where is the World Cup? It's in the USA. It's in the Americas. It's in the USA, Mexico, and Canada. All right. It's in North America. All right. So is there any kind of war starting? Is there anything? No. And the FIFA World Cup president, whatever, just gave Trump a super, award. You know how Trump loves awards, right? He gave him like a special FIFA award that's only going to be awarded to President Trump. So what? Now he's going to start, a war in the Americas. So. And that's the thing, So, one thing is messing with Venezuela. Another thing is messing with Greenland. And another thing is messing with the cartels, messing with Mexico. I mean, come on. It's like that's sticking your head in a hornet's nest. So we know that he's not going to do that, all right? So he's just going to pick easy targets, as he usually does. A lot of it is for optics, and it is what it is, all right? So that's the thing. So again, we got the FIFA World Cup coming up, and not just the FIFA World Cup. I think we got the World Baseball Classic as well, which is like the FIFA World Cup, but for baseball. I think I don't know if it's this year or not, but again, that's coming up. So I mean, yeah, seriously. And in fact, the USA right now, they're dealing with the whole situation because, for example, with the FIFA World Cup, what that brings, it brings a lot of tourism, a lot of people from around the world. And so think about all the people from around the world that want to visit the USA so that they can see a World Cup game. They can see their country represented in the World Cup. And they're probably not going to be able to go see the game because they're not going to get a visa. Because Trump won't, or the administration won't let them get their visa so they can see their whatever. So a lot of people, well, guess what? Guess who is giving visas? Mexico. So a lot of people, there's going to be a lot of world tourism in this country and a lot more awareness, for Mexico and how awesome Mexico is. Mexico's been seeing a huge rebirth and reestablishing of their culture, because for a very long time, a lot of people have always just considered Mexico as, just a cartel and that kind of dangerous culture. And why would I visit Mexico? And that's it. But nowadays, things have changed dramatically with Mexico. The culture is very widely known. Here in Mexico, with a Mexican wife, and I get to see things from around the world, and I get to see how much people around the world love Mexico. Like, you go to Japan and they love Mexico. You go to like all kinds of countries and then like they have all this Mexican love. It's pretty insane. It's pretty cool. And so a lot of that, that's happening. You know what I mean? So and so right now with the FIFA World Cup, obviously it's going to spread that culture further. And so the Mexican culture now, sure, people, the cartel, the violence, whatever, but that's not really the thing. Really, people that really what's going on right now is that Mexico is exporting their culture on a massive scale. They've been doing it through, movies and TV shows and, again, Hollywood, whatever, right? They've been doing it through YouTube. They've been doing it through, it's like a million ways, and people are loving it. And, again, the food is a big way that they've been, sharing their culture. And people are really seeing what Mexico's like. Because, like, for example, I am a YouTuber, from the USA doing my thing, right? But if you really dig deep and you see how many YouTubers from all over the world live in Mexico and do exactly what I'm doing, but for their audience in Haiti, in Uruguay, in Korea, for real, there's Korean YouTubers and that are out here, doing what I do, but for Korea, and same thing as a Haitian, I saw a Haitian one, in another part of Mexico. There's a guy from Uruguay, there's just, Mexico, and so as the USA is closing up shop, because that's all that's really going on. This, you live there. As they're closing up shop from, to immigration and all kinds of stuff, well, guess what country isn't closing up shop? Mexico. Mexico's opening up. So that's the thing. Things are definitely changing. On a cultural level, on a demographic level. Again, both countries are heading in completely different directions. I think that really, if there is a war between the U.S. and Mexico, it's a cold war, a fake war, but not really a war. It's a political war, which again, Trump and Claudia Sheinbaum, they love each other. They get along great. Again, they've been documented as very recently, hugging and kissing and, the whole thing. So I don't want to hear it. All right. And it is what it is. You got to remember, these are politicians. They're ugly actors. Yeah, again, I don't know if you heard the saying, but, politicians are just really, ugly actors that didn't make it in Hollywood. That's it. And we know that Trump is, he did make it in Hollywood. He had a great and successful show in with The Apprentice and a bunch of other things that he's done. He did it. He got an Oscar-winning nomination, right, in Home Alone. You know him. So we got that, and then Claudia Sheinbaum is, she is what she is. It is what it is. She's not an actor. I mean, she is, but maybe she's a very ugly actor. It is. Sorry. Sorry. I kid. I don't want to offend anybody out there. I know how everybody's all, these days. But look, long story short, look, at the end of the day, it is what it is, okay? So they get along, okay? And so, who cares what they say? I mean? They're politicians. That's what they do. They say things, all right? And they don't follow through. So why would they follow through on this, all right? So, and when they do follow through, it's never what you think. It's always something that's not really, so. The reality is that I would not be worried about anything. I'm not worried about anything. I'm laughing it up. The more I see, the rhetoric and I'm just laughing. I'm like laughing. That's it. Because again, from my perspective, especially from my perspective, remember, I'm Latino. I'm Cuban. Not only do I speak Spanish, but I was born and raised in the Cuban hood, and then when I lived in LA, I visited, the Mexican hood, and I reckon I know what it's like, man. You know what I mean? Like, are we serious right now? You know what I mean? And I know there's a lot of Mexicans and Cubans that support and love Trump, but a lot don't. Okay, a lot don't. Okay, it's just, it is what it is. All right, and again, to me, the way I see it, it's just a lot more, rhetoric, propaganda, whatever you want to call it, to just keep everybody, arguing with each other and fighting with each other and whatever it is. It's just, so again, great. That's a wonderful, again, it's just a big old clown show. That's all it is. And if you guys are arguing about which clown is better, or or what clown show, or what clown car has the best. I mean, what are we doing here, man? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And so that's what they're counting on. They're counting on everybody arguing over, what clown is better, over, over what clown is going to do X, Y, Z, or what clown is not going to do X, Y, Z, and whatever. All right, and so that's all it is. And the reality is that look, I'm not going to lie to you. I picked this topic because I know that this is a topic that a lot of people are worried about. But the reality is that even though this was talked about last week or something like that, by the time that the week has passed, and here we are, it's like everyone's talking about Iran and talking about Greenland and talking about this and talking about that. Yeah, I mean, come on, look at Iran. I mean, if anyone's gonna get a bomb dropped on their head again, it's gonna be Iran. It's not gonna be us. It's not gonna be Mexico. All right. So, we got the cartel over there dropping, what is it? Dropping special air packages, of drugs, across the border. Give me a break. Get out of here, man. What are we doing here, man? So it's just like a giant clown show, and whoever believes the clown show, again, it's WWF wrestling, WWE wrestling right here. And this guy, Mr. Trump, turned full heel. Seriously, like it's funny because like all the things that are going on, I heard somebody explain it on another podcast, a comedy podcast, and he was just explaining as to, yeah, man, Trump just turned full heel. He's like, he turned, you remember when Hulk Hogan, turned into straight NWO, when Hulk Hogan became the bad guy and how everything was just like, and how the people took it and how everything was. And it's like, he was mentioning that. I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what's going on. Trump just turned full heel. It's a show, guys. It's wrestling. Please don't believe everything that's going on. All right, guys. And to me, that's the way I see it. It's just pure comedy, at least if you're looking at it from one perspective. Now, I get it. If you're living there, if you're living in the clown show, if everything around you is clowns, it's not fun. It's you guys want to get out of the clown world. I get it. I totally understand. This is why I do these videos. I talk about these topics. But look, at the end of the day, the clown show is not everywhere, okay? They're out here in Mexico, for example, they got their clown show going on with politics, but because of the way the government works out here and the way the system is out here, it doesn't affect people as much as it, or even remotely close to how it's affecting you guys on a day-to-day basis. In fact, it's already getting to a point, out there in the USA where it's almost getting to a point of no return for a lot of people in the whole situation. So, anyways, it's gonna be interesting. So yeah, the clown show, guys. So, all right, let me see. 0. Hold on a second. Yeah, my apologies. Remember, I was telling you guys I was a little under the weather. I think that's the thing. I think I'm coming down with a cold or flu or something. I've been a little bit under the weather for a few weeks, but this has been kind of lingering. But I've been okay. But then this morning I woke up and I was like, woof, rough. So my apologies if there's been a little rough today. I'm not in my game. A little under the weather, as they like to say. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's just all, it's hilarious, man. Like to me, I don't know. It's just, again, it's just like a giant clown show, and not to take it too seriously. Because once you start taking this too seriously, you start picking one side over the other. You start believing, one side over the other, too much and like that. It's just, oh man, that's not a healthy lifestyle. That is not healthy at all. And one of the beautiful things about living out here in Mexico, or moving out here to Mexico, that at least I enjoy thoroughly, is the fact that I am very disconnected from a lot of that. In fact, I'm only connected because I'm doing these videos. I'm talking to you guys about these subjects and all this other stuff. But if it wasn't for this, I would be very, very uninformed about what's really going on, because I really don't care that much. And I mean, I kind of just keep tabs on it because it's, the ever-going movie that's just ever-going and ever playing. And it's just, it keeps getting more interesting each and every day. I mean, again, we're only 2 weeks into the year, and look at everything that's happened already this year. So, a great movie. It's a fun movie to watch from afar. You know, I'm out here in Mexico. I'm watching that movie. I'm not living the movie. You know, again, we've seen many disaster movies, you know, alien invasions, war movies. You know, we've seen all those movies, right? You know, The Boys in the Hood, whatever, right? We've seen all those movies. You know, one thing is watching the movie, and another thing is living the movie. Completely different thing. And so, at least for me, I feel like I've been far removed from all that. I don't live in that movie anymore. I'm just watching the movie. You know, and in fact, I'm contributing to the movie here. I'm making, you know, but yeah, it is interesting. When you do update, tell us about new foreign factories. I don't know I don't know what you mean, Monica. Can you specify a little bit more? The Hunger Games. Yeah, the Hunger Games are already going on in the USA. Already, it's happening. It's a thing. You know, people are like, oh, you know, people are so worried about the credit score. What is it like? What's that? The Chinese score that they got? But anyways, but in the USA, they already got a score like that. Everybody has a social credit score. You know, you kidding me? Everybody in the USA has a credit score, social credit score. It's a thing. It's already a thing. Are you really for real telling me that you don't have one? Look, for example, me, Jose Artiaga, my credit score and my social credit score in the USA, no bueno, man. No bueno. No bueno. So this is why I live in Mexico. I don't got to worry about any of that crap. You know? In fact, my social credit score in Mexico, you know, which is, you know, my neighborhood, my neighbors, the people that know me, it's pretty good. Pretty good. You know, that's how your social credit score should be, right? You know, how you actually behave, you know, with the people around you, not this arbitrary thing. But yeah, long story short, I mean, you guys already have all that, man. You mean, what are we talking about here? You know, like you guys already having very difficulty. Sorry, my English is not so good sometimes. Anyways, you guys are already having a large difficulty. I'm trying to leave the USA, trying to get out of the USA. Think about that. How crazy is that? So, yeah, like, I mean, look, for example, like how many immigrants with no paperwork, no nothing, they just find their way to the USA and they're able to figure it out and survive. You know, sure, you know, they get deported from time to time, but it's not the same, right? But, you know, for you guys, it's hard enough just even getting a passport. It's hard enough to even just leave the country because it's all mental. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of you guys are in a mental prison. Again, people do it with nothing. You know, people become immigrants with negative to anything. All right? They leave war-torn countries. And, I don't know. And you guys, you know, a lot of us, again, me included, I was in this. Is why I can speak on this. Again, even me with nothing. Because remember, you guys know my story. If you don't, check out the rest of the channel. But I moved out here, again, 7.5 years ago with only $1,500 left to my name. And it was very difficult. It was extremely difficult. But I was able to do it, you know, immigrant style. But it was a lot of the difficulties. A lot of the difficulties came just from the readjustment. All right. Of having to lower my standard of life, you know, and again, I was already used to that. I was already used to, you know, living under very low standards, and not low standards, but just barely a roof over my head and barely food on the table. Okay, meaning I already lived that. I lived that right before I moved here, right? But then when I came to Mexico, it was just a whole new level of that, and it made me reassess exactly everything. Again, my worst in Mexico, right? Once I came to Mexico, man, I was like lower middle class or lower class, or, you know, it wasn't even like, it was pretty good. Because there's real poor here, there's real poverty here, there's real hunger here, you get constantly reminded. But at least out here, you have a real chance of being able to, make something out of yourself and lift something out of yourself, as opposed to the USA these days. But yeah, no, it was just a stark reminder. So imagine a lot of you guys out there that come from a Starbucks lifestyle. Again, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? I had to live that at one point too, okay? I had that kind of girlfriend. Again, I'm 45 years old. I've done all kinds of shit. So anyways, part of my friends there. But anyways, look, the point is that some of you guys out there just living that Starbucks lifestyle, living that, certain lifestyle. And then when you move to Mexico, you're not prepared for that, smack, or a lot of you guys are not even prepared to even move and leave the comfort, the comfort of the discomfort that you live in the USA. Because again, for a lot of real immigrants, they have to leave their country because they just got bombarded and they have no home and family because they're done. They're toast. They're cooked. All right, as the kids say these days. Or a massive disaster. You know what I mean? Or cartel or violence. From in war, or there's so many things that basically when most immigrants move to another country, they come with nothing. And they've lost everything. So it's a very different mentality. And they come from already kind of humble, not every time, but sometimes they come from humble whatever. So it's very different. So when it comes to like a lot of Americans or Canadians moving to the USA, sure, they want to live a, modern lifestyle like what you're watching in today's video. But, again, if you really, really want the modern super comforts, well, that comes at a cost. And that's the thing. And so, like, it's just all these things, you know what I mean? Like, and so that really is more of the big adjustment than anything else. Because for a lot of people, they're just not prepared for that, adjustment, the financial adjustment or that lifestyle adjustment. Because for a lot of Mexicans, they live a pretty humble lifestyle. They take pride in living a humble lifestyle. In fact, it's like the more poor and humble you are, the more respected you are in Mexican culture, and the more money and the more you've done with your life, the less you're respected in Mexican culture. I'm talking about just Mexicans within themselves. A lot of Mexicans will respect a guy that's going to work 70 hours a day, to put food on the table. We're living in a humble, 1-bedroom home with his 3 kids and family, wife and kids, as opposed to, the same Mexican or another Mexican that, did really well, maybe in the Mexican stock market. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, or maybe did very well because he has his business or, whatever it is, right? A taco business, a very successful taco business, right? Well, as the more success happens, people, they don't look, it's just very different. They just have more, favorability towards the lower than the higher. So look, it doesn't matter. The point I'm making is that it's a different type of thing. So when a lot of Americans or Canadians come out here and they're, kind of exhibiting a certain entitled lifestyle or mentality, again, I myself am even guilty of that because I didn't even know until I figured it out, through the years. But with that mentality that we have, no fault to our own, it's just where our culture is, the difference in culture, right? When we're out here and we're dealing with a lot of that stuff, that's the thing. That's why sometimes like there's a disconnection, with the people, you know what I mean? Like, for example, again, why do I dress a lot the way that I dress a lot of times, in my videos when I'm hanging out? It's because, I don't want to, I want to just be accepted by the locals because I'm a local. I'm a poor mother effer like you. That's it. It's as simple as that, and that's it. You know what I mean? It's weird, but it's like a thing. It's a very humbling thing. It just kind of keeps you in check all the time. But either way, what I mean? Like I said, a lot of people, there's a lot of cultural differences. There's a lot of differences between both countries, but at the same time, there's a lot of similarities, between both countries. And I think that's why a lot of people at the end of the day end up moving to Mexico or choose Mexico because of the similarities in many aspects of life. And the things that are not similar these days are things that at one point were similar. And a lot of people miss or want or desire these days. Again, like the family values, the community aspect to many things, and so many other things. Again, it's not that they look down 100% on people that are successful or make money or whatever. It's just more like the fact that, I don't know, it's just, since most Mexicans are just hardworking, regular people, that's what they take more pride in than, let's say, like the Kim Kardashians of the world. Where in the USA, which is a different culture, they have, they praise more, the Kim Kardashians or the people that have a lot of money and flaunt it and that the luxury lifestyle in life and things like that. But whatever. It is what it is. So, anyways, guys, yeah, my apologies. I don't know if you guys have been asking me questions or you guys are just chatting amongst yourselves, or as I'm just going off of my rant here, talking about Mexico and its culture, even though we're supposed to be talking about the invasion, right? That the U.S. is going to do of Mexico, which is not going to happen. So, my apologies. So, hi, Jose. Appreciate your conversations. Is the contact info for your assistant and lawyer on the website up to date? Yes, it is. I emailed them last month and didn't get a response, either of them. Well, look, again, you know me. I'll tell you the truth, all right? Look, my assistant is hit or miss, okay? Again, this is not my specialty. I'm just making videos, man. I am not a, rental assistant, person, all right? There's other YouTubers and people that can, that can do that for you, all right? If that's what you want to do. But look, my assistant, is hit or miss. Sometimes she's around, sometimes she's not. Now, when it comes to my lawyer, he's a lawyer and he's busy. And, you got to treat him like a professional. And so I don't know what your email is. I don't know what your situation is. You got to remember that we're two different people. Even though I might answer any little question that you might ask me, he might not. All right. And, he functions. Every once in a while he will answer little things here and there, but for the most part, you got to pay for his services. He's a professional. So that's number one. So I don't know what the contact is about. You know what I mean? If you're contacting him because you want to buy a house, I am sure that he would, have already reached out to you. And if he hasn't, my apologies. Reach out to him again. But if it's just, I don't want to put anyone on the spot. You know what you sent. You know what it is. You know what? Okay, we're all adults here, so you gotta please treat everything accordingly like that. But look, again, the whole thing with my assistant, like I said, a hit or miss. I'm trying to work on trying to find, someone or some service out there that I can trust, to do more of that assistancy thing. But I can't find anybody. I don't know anybody. And look, the reality is that, why can I do and say whatever I want on YouTube? It's because I am not making money off you guys, man. That's the thing. And so I separate both. And so I don't make as much money as other YouTubers out there because I want to be able to have the freedom to do and say what I want and behave how I want and all that stuff. Okay. So you got to keep that, in mind as well. And so, unfortunately, I don't offer services because, that's not what I do. And so, I try to link, try to find people to help you guys out, but I am sorry, man. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Because I help you guys out with so many things. I really do help you out with so many things. I have so many free resources available. But when it comes to, paid resources, I am very, very particular about who and what I work with. And that's the thing. And so, and because to me, it's a lot of times, people are just more than happy to sell you a service and take that money. And, for me, look, I know I have a certain reputation, okay? I know I'm not the nicest guy, I'm not the whatever, but I also have a reputation, that I really do, I really do what is it how do I say this? I like to maintain. And to me, when I first started doing all this, I really did try to help people out, with finding a home or help people out with this and that. But, very quickly I found out I can't deal with people, man. I can't. I'm not a people person. I cannot, no matter how much you pay me. And that's the thing. It's just as simple as that. Remember, I'm a Virgo. I used to be a chef. It's I'm a different personality type. I'm great on camera. I'm great, in short bursts. But I cannot. I lose my patience very quickly. I am not, again, I'm a good teacher. I'm a good everything. But it's just certain things, man. And so this is why what I do on my channel, instead of taking money from you, or services or things like that, what I do is I just provide everything for free. And my hope is that you watch my videos. Let's say I'm finding a job and you watch the video enough times where I generate a couple of pennies from some advertisements. That's it. I'm not selling you a service or try to get a job to whatever, all this stuff, and then really not follow through. And it's not because I wouldn't follow through, because you're not following through on your end. So, there's many things that I provide for free and even services that I provide, on my website. But a lot of it has to do with you, meaning that, hey, look, here it is. Here is the treasure chest. Here is the gold. Here is the map. Go get it. I am not going to go get the treasure for you. I am not going to do the work for you. I am not. I cannot. Okay? I cannot. Because that's also a disservice. It really is. Because you got to remember, man, you're moving to another country. Like if you're moving to another state in the USA, think about it. If you're moving to another state in the USA, are you hiring, all these people? No, because you need to figure it out on your own because you're moving there. And you need to figure out what's going on. Like I know sometimes you need to hire people for certain things. I get it. I totally understand. You might get a realtor to find you a place. You might get someone to help you with immigration. I get it. I understand. But not for everything. Because at the end of the day, you need to go out there and do these walks and experience life for yourself out here. And you got to, live life, because the more somebody holds your hand, the more handicapped or disabled you're going to be because you're just not going to have those skills that you're going to need, on a day-to-day basis. And this is why I do everything on my show, man. I mean, really, all my videos are from day one has always been to help you help yourself. All right. And, that's all it is. And so I'm sorry, guys. Again, if I don't have it on there already, there's nothing. And so right now, if you're telling me, I reached out to them, it's like, well, I mean, okay, I get it. You know what I mean? A lot of people reach out to me. I don't answer every email. Okay, I can't. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people just, send me all kinds of messages that are just not relevant to anything, really. And so that's the thing, Like the reality is just that, there's a lot of things involved, Like when it comes to all this stuff. And so I prefer, to make videos. If I'm going to make money, I prefer to, make some things in my kitchen and sell it to you guys. Make more videos. There's other ways that I can generate money and, sell t-shirts, sell consultations and so on and so forth. Those are all things that I feel very comfortable with, selling to you guys. Sometimes I do sell things, Again, I don't want to spoil it because I got something coming up in the future, but, I teamed up with a guy that, basically has a Spanish learning immersion thing that's coming out. And, we're partnering up so that we can provide that for you guys as well. But again, it's not for everybody. It's, again, just like everything else on my channel. It's for serious people. Look, the reason I provide everything for free is like this. Is because, look, at the end of the day, let's say that you're on a budget. And you need to get your residency, all right? Well, okay, you're on a tight budget. You can still get your residency or you can still get whatever it is you need to get, but you got to do it yourself, okay? The less resources you got, the more you got to do things on your own. Capiche? That's how it works. Now, if you do have the resources, okay? Let's say that you do have the money. You got the resources to pay a professional to help you out with whatever it is. Well, then you also need to know the actual information. Why? Because there's many people out there, okay? And let's say that you don't hire Jose Novello because you want to save a few bucks. You found somebody else online, which we recommend. We recommend to shop around, do whatever you got to do. But anyways, you hire somebody else out there that's cheaper. You're going to save a few bucks. Well, then guess what? There's two types of people out there. There's person number one that's just going to give them the money, trust them blindly, and hope for the best. Set it and forget it. That's person number one. Or person number two, someone that educates themselves enough to the point of, okay, I know what I need. I know the paperwork they're going to ask for. I know this and that. I know the basic information. So that way, if all of a sudden you're paying somebody to help you with this stuff, right? And they're not asking you for the right paperwork to take to immigration, immediately you're like, hey, wait a minute. I saw in a video or I saw online, I read online that you need, 2 copies of my passport. You need this, you need that. How come you're only asking me for this? You get what I'm saying? You got to question. You got to whatever, man. You're in a different country. You're in a different world out here. And so, a lot of times, when people have problems, it's because they trust too many people. And they don't do any of the work themselves or homework themselves or any kind of anything like that themselves. You got to really check up. You got to really know what's going on. Look, they might tell you straight up, oh no, listen. I don't need copies of your passport because I'm going to make copies in my office. And the reason that this is that is because we did this through here. So here's a copy of that. Oh, and here, I'm glad that you were checking up. In fact, your appointment is for February 20. Oh, great. I got the right guy, Or they always, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just things like that. You gotta like, and so it goes with everything. You're renting a house. If you don't know what you're looking for, if you don't know, you're looking for into what they're gonna be telling you and all this other stuff, you might think you have certain rights as opposed to what you don't have as rights and things like that. Because you're in a different country. Things are different. Let's say that you're dealing with, a plumbing issue. Plumbing issues are different out here. When you're renting, sometimes you got to leave many deposits. Sometimes you're not. So it's, you'll be thinking, oh, that guy's trying to gringo price me. No, that's the way it is in certain places. And it's just like, it's all these things. And so that's what you need. That's why I make the videos that I make and I talk about the things that I talk about so you guys can educate yourselves. All right? Because people are going to scam you. Sometimes it's someone from your own country. All right. Everyone is trying to make a buck. Not everybody, but it is what it is. There's all kinds of things out there. So you got to realize, okay, that, sure, you can trust, like, again, if your car is broken, you have to trust a mechanic, with your car. But man, come on, if you're sitting in the waiting room while they're fixing your car, the least you could probably do is maybe Google your issue to see if the guy is overcharging you, stiffing you, lying to you, whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm a different animal. Maybe we're all different out there. I get it. But to me, it's just things like that. You know what I mean? Like, this is a lot of the reasons why I do what I do. And I'm sorry, man. I don't even know who asked the initial question. I didn't mean to be picking on anybody. You know how I go on my rants. Again, I told you guys I'm not feeling well right now, so it's probably like a mental hay fever, whatever's going on here. So my apologies. But that's the thing. You know what I mean? The reality is that, like, what I try to do is, look, and the reason I do that is because, look, nobody was there for me. Nobody helped me with nothing. Nobody whatever. So what I do is I try to pay it forward. I try to provide all that for you guys in one shape, form, or another. So, but anyways, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed, today's show. And that's it. Yeah, I gotta get going. I completely forgot, guys. Anyway, so hold on. Someone says, open link says, Jose, I'm moving to Mexico. Can you support my wife and 3 kids till we get our residency? In return, I'll allow you to be in my... No, I'm good. Hey, hold on a second, guys. I got the... Hey guys, so sorry about that. My apologies for, having to step out for a second. The garbage truck, was passing by. And then, Christian's grandma just got here, so I gotta get going. My apologies. Anyways. Alright guys, well, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Sorry about the abrupt ending there. Yeah, because again, like I said, I was feeling under the weather, and usually I take out the garbage early in the day, but I completely forgot. and all that stuff. So it is what it is. Let me see. Let me read a few more comments. I don't know if there was any music playing in the background. Hopefully it wasn't completely. So anyways, guys, so all right, I really appreciate your patience, and thank you guys so much for hanging out. And what state am I in? Are you asking me or asking somebody else? Let me read a few comments. I mean, you guys already. All right, okay. Well, all right, that's it. I think that's it. So anyways, it's going to be interesting, you know, to see it all play out, you know, everything I talked about and all this other good stuff, but I think that's it. And we're going to get out of here. So, all right. I don't see any more questions. All right, again, I'm going to leave a few more seconds, all right, to see if you guys have any questions or anything else you want to say or comment on before I head out of here. So, oh, okay. So yeah, people again going back to like why I don't do, you know, because like, you know, someone says, I wish you did, you know, meet at the airport and assist on the first day. Look, the reason I don't is because when I first moved out here and I was dead broke and I needed to eat, I would do it. I would do it for a few bucks, okay, like $50 or whatever, right? But as the time went on, it's like you know, my time is more valuable than that. You know, again, I am extremely busy, as you guys watch on my other channels. You know, where I'm documenting my day now and documenting a lot of the things that I do. So I can't just go out there for a whole day for $50. So I charge. You know what I mean? Like, what would it cost? You know, what it cost me? You know, hey, what this is, and people don't want to. They don't want to pay that. And, you know, it is what it is, you know, it's totally fine. You know what I mean? Like, you know, for a lot of people, they just want to hang out with me and they just want to buy me a beer and spend the whole day with me, you know, for, it's like, no, man, you know what I mean? Like, I can't, you know what I mean? I can't. I really cannot. Because I'm busy. I'm enjoying my thing. I'll meet you guys. I'll see you guys on the street, but there's just so many of you guys. You know what I mean? Like I said, you know, I've already met you guys. By the way, you know, one thing I am going to do, now that I got you guys here, you know what? I'm gonna take a quick poll. All right, we're gonna. All right, I'm gonna write the thing real here. Why do I do a poll? It's been so long. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm thinking about doing meetups in the future. All right, and Jose Novella we were also talking about that, maybe doing meetups in the future. So, would you be interested in something like that? You know, meet and greets. Because, like I said, I used to do these in the past. I even recorded a few. You know, you gotta dig deep into the channel. But like, you know, to me, it was one of those things where it's just like I had to stop doing them. And again, I love you guys. But I know some of you guys, you know, again, there's all kinds of people. You know, we can't get along with everybody. So, not that I didn't get along with anyone. I get along with everybody, but anyway, I don't want to get into details, all right? Look, at the end of the day, all right, I had to stop because I was doing a lot of them. It was back in the COVID days, and, you know, there was nothing really going on in the city or things going on, period. So I would do things like the meetups, you know, things to, like, gather people, to get people together, you know? So anyways, long story short, I'm thinking, you know, we were thinking about doing that, but, again, I used to do them for free, all right? I used to do them, again, just out of the kindness of my heart, but then I realized, you know, the more you do things out of the kindness of your heart, the more, you know, what is it? The road to hell was paved with good intentions. It is what it is. So, you know, I'm thinking about doing meetups, but perhaps, you know, charging a fee, all right? And maybe, you know, donating some of that money to, to like the Mayas Eternos or some charity of our choice. Because that's the thing, you know what I mean? You guys want to meet up, you know, to hang out. You guys want to meet up to also, you know, pick our brains. You know, there's many reasons why you want to meet up with us. But again, not to charge a lot of money. You know, maybe like, I don't know. In fact, let me know in the chat would you guys feel comfortable, you know, with paying. All right. But again, we would do like a meetup, maybe like at a bar or somewhere like that, where everybody can just pay for their own drinks, pay for their own whatever. All right. And that's it. You know what I mean? And just everybody just meet up. meet and greet, meet other individuals, that watch the channel. You get to meet me, meet Jose, things like that. Let me know if you'd be interested in something like that. All right, let me see the poll. All right, we got 13 votes and 13 yeses. All right, so yeah, but that's the thing. Like, I would love to do something like that, but I'm just thinking of what to charge. Like, whether $10 or $25 or whatever. What would be appropriate? And then just to hang out with me and hang out with me and Jose. Probably hang out with me and Jose. All right, so you guys can have us there and go hog wild. All right, so. But that's the thing, and so like we were thinking about doing things like that because I know a lot of you guys, would be interested in things like that, and so okay, we'll see. We'll probably put something like that together at some point. But that's the thing too. I know a lot of you guys are not here. A lot of you guys are in the USA, so whatever. We'll see. All right. It seems like obviously you guys are interested, so we'll pursue that into the future. So I was like 16 people said yes, apparently, I think so. All right. So that's the thing, Like, all right, we'll be doing something like that. So that way you guys can meet us and greet us. But that's the thing, that's the way I have to do it. I have to do it in a controlled fashion. Why is it that I really don't show my house or my neighborhood or where I live? Well, because I used to show that, and all of a sudden I would have people showing up at my door. Hey, how's it going? I'm a huge fan. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? My neighbors don't even know what the hell I do for a living. Like, what's going on here? Like, think about it. Think about somebody, just showing up to your door, like, hey, how's it going, Nancy? I love your blog post, that you did on Reddit talking about. Like, whoa, hey, shut up. Who are you? Who are you? So that's the thing. I would have a lot of that. It's just, man, people just get out of hand, man. People get out of hand. So that's the thing. And so, like, that's why I got to do it in a controlled fashion. Another thing, what I do is, like, when I do offer, my time, my services, you got to pay up front. Because how many times, I would go, do the thing, or I would do the meeting, or whatever it is, and then, I don't have the money, or I'll send it to you. Nah, man, we're done. No. Again, I do everything cash first, pay first. Why do I do that? Because I already give everything, I give so much for free already. And it's more like a showing of good faith. Like, really? Like, it's the least you could do. Like, pay up front. That kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's just so many things, man. And so some people understand, man. Some people are more than happy. They pay the fee. They'll tip. They'll buy the drink. They'll do all these things. Yeah, but a lot of people just don't get it. I've had people like, get mad at me. Oh, it's all about the money. It's all about. It is, bro. It is. Yeah, you see, this is exactly why I'm not having a beer with you, bro. What's wrong with you? Like, are you kidding me? So. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I go off on my rants. I think it's the medication that I took. My apologies. Sorry. All right. Thank you. Thank you for. I appreciate it. But I love you guys, man. I really do, man. But again, it has to be controlled, man. So we'll do that. All right. We'll do the meetups at some point. Yeah. So. Yeah, okay, look, $30 an hour to get familiar with Merida, right? Okay, so look at that. Let's see, what is $30 an hour, okay? Because again, how many hours? What, I'm not gonna hang out with you for 1 hour, right? So, 8 hours? Think about it, the whole day, so what would be 8 times 30? All right? All right, $240, all right? So $250, all right? So there you go. Believe it or not, that's kind of like what I would charge, But, the reality is like, actually, I charge more, because the reality is that, look, I'll be honest with you. I don't want to do that, okay? I don't want to do that, okay? So I charge more because you really got to drag me out there, for me to do that, okay? But, even then, man, like I said, that's even too much, for too many people. So, look, to me, the way I see it is that I give everything away for free. And I don't feel bad about nothing. I don't gatekeep anything. I don't have anything, behind the paywall. None of that. Everything is free. Ask me a question, I answer it. all the time, all right? Whether it's a live stream or whatever. And that's it. And the only thing I charge for is if you want for me to really go in depth, have a consultation, whatever it is. And that's it. And if you want to meet me, then I charge. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that, because I don't want to have a drink at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I got shit to do. All right? So, anyways. But I love you guys, though. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's just, it is what it is. So, all right, guys. All right, that's it. Then we're going to wrap it up. Today was, a fever high. What is it? What is it? What is it? Fever dream episode is what it was today. Today we had a fever dream episode. So, all right, guys. I really love you guys. I really appreciate you guys. By the way, again, I want to remind you guys that I have, to go check out my other channels. All right, check out my cooking channel and check out check out Unleashed. I uploaded 2 new episodes, okay? And I just recorded an episode for Unleashed today, which I'm gonna, get ready and upload soon. So please check out those 2 channels. Go subscribe, go like, go hit the bell icon and all that good stuff. Go watch the videos if you haven't watched them already. And that's it, guys. You know what I mean? Like I said, just expect more stuff, more content. And I love you guys and appreciate everything you guys do. And yeah, man, for reals, thank you so much for being so awesome. All right, and thank you guys for putting up with me. I know I'm not easy. All right, it is what it is. So I really appreciate you guys, putting up with me. And it is what it is. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys here on Sunday, when I upload my regular video, and I'll see you guys here next Thursday. And again, check out the other 2 channels. I'll put all the links down below so you guys can, again, they're all in the they're all in the description, and I'm gonna put them in the comments and all that stuff, so that way you guys can go on ahead and check those at your leisure. All right. So, and I think they're on here too. Yeah, I got them here. Unleashed. I gotta switch this around here a little bit. But anyways, all right, guys. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.